Hello, ladies and gents. This is Tweetanner, and I am here together with Rokio.
Hello!
So we come up with a little list of our games of 2013. Please keep in mind that this list is a little bit of games. Well, it's a personal opinion, and it's about games that we know things about, where we have seen footage of, where we played ourselves, or maybe where we heard things about on the internet. So we came up with a little bit of lists on, for example, the most disappointing games of 2013, the most surprising games, games that we enjoyed the most, the top games, the games with the best soundtrack, the games that we are excited for in the next year or next year or the year after, and the games that we want to play that came out this year. So let's start with the first topic, the most disappointing games. What is your list?
Sadly, there are games we are excited about, but turns out that they are not as good as we thought. First on my list, Bioshock Infinite. I was surprised when I first played Bioshock that I actually quite enjoyed the game, but then I then I played Bioshock 2, which also was really good. But then came Bioshock Infinite, and it was just a disappointment. The gameplay was dull, boring
Yeah, I've heard
constantly.
things about it. It looks good. It looks beautiful, even so, and the story is pretty good, but the gameplay itself isn't very good, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's quite right, and the story is not that great either. It's pretty, but it doesn't give the same atmosphere as the first two games. It's a completely different area. We are no longer in Rapture, which was the underwater city from the first
Well,
two
unless
games.
you buy the DLC, Under the Sea DLC or something. I'm not sure what it's called. Burial at Sea, it was.
Yeah, but we're not going to
That
talk
one
about DLC.
is in Rapture. But yeah, I have played the first game by now. I still have to play the second and the third. I do own them, but I haven't played them yet. I have to play it first, and pretty nice setting, Rapture. But anyways, next game. I'll say one of mine. My major disappointment is probably SimCity.
Yes, I really enjoyed the previous SimCity games, like SimCity
SimCity
3.
2, SimCity 3, SimCity 4, they were all amazing, pretty good to play. But SimCity 5 now.
I have to admit I haven't played it, but I have seen quite a few videos about it, and it just
Well, it started
isn't.
off first with the server issues. The servers were completely broken, but even when people started playing, they noticed that the game itself is broken. So
And if you have seen the area where you can build your city is really, really small.
yeah, it really is. When you step over from SimCity 4 to SimCity 5, you suddenly see that, well, this isn't right. Cities aren't nearly as large. Your major thing is, after a few hours, when you've completely built your city, you have to really destroy things all the time to place more buildings.
Yeah, it's really annoying. They have some good ideas in the new SimCity, but they're not that very well executed. If they just made a single player game like SimCity 4 and then put the new elements of SimCity 5 in it, they would have a much better game.
Yeah, indeed. And as I said, the game itself is broken. There were actually some people that were saying that you could actually build a city without roads and get a completely 100% happiness. And your Sims will actually take all the same road instead of driving around the traffic. And they go to the first house instead of their own house, you know? They just go to a random one, the nearest one, instead of each having their own house. It's pretty silly. It doesn't really work. The algorithms behind the game don't really work properly.
Well, me and Tree have the SimCity 4 Deluxe Edition, and I loved it. every sim had his own house, and you could see which route each person takes to get to work. It was just amazing.
And that is the thing. You're much better off getting SimCity 4 with modding and everything, and no DRM whatsoever. You're much better off getting SimCity 4 instead of SimCity 5. It's much better in my opinion.
But anyway, let's move on to the next game. Next disappointment, Saints Row 4.
Oh yeah, that's on my list as well. I think the major thing I noticed about it is that it's pretty much the same engine and it uses a lot of the same assets. The only thing that really is new is the story.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Saints Row 3. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Saints Row 4, on the other hand, yeah, it's just too much.
Well, SimCity 3 wasn't my favorite game, but wasn't definitely one of the most fun games. I had a lot of fun with Saints Row 3.
Yeah, it was just a crazy version of GTA.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about it. But Saints Row 4 is just over the top. Too much. They're trying to be funny. They're not. They're trying too hard. You just have to let it flow.
Well, I've seen some Let's Plays of it, and well, it's can be a little bit over the top, but I mean, it's their style now, I guess.
Yeah, but just superpowers really completely unnecessary.
Yeah, the superpower is a little bit like you feel too strong, I think, or something, but
Yeah, and when you are too strong, they have to make the enemies way stronger.
and major part about Saints Row was actually the vehicles. I love
Yeah.
the different vehicles and the customize them, and I really love customized vehicles. And with superpowers, you don't need them at all. You just keep on running and super lightning speed, and you don't need the vehicles. So
Yeah, you're even giving yourself a handicap by using a vehicle. But anyway, let's move on to the next game. Is there something else you have on your list?
um, Poké Night 2. I've played Poké Night 2. I mean, just a small game really. It was made by Telltale Games. Just after Poké Night at the inventory, I was like, oh, this is a pretty nice game. And when I heard there was a new one coming out, I was immediately like, I should get it. But it wasn't. I mean, they added more content into the Poké Night, but it's just harder. And I'm just going to leave it at that. It's not that fun as the first game is, and that's it.
Yeah, I can't really comment on that because I haven't played it. So my last item on my list of disappointing games is Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs. Actually, I really liked the first Amnesia, The Dark Descent. Just actually really scary at times. And there was also a lot of opportunity for custom stories, which I have played quite a few of. And it just love the atmosphere, but Amnesia: Machine for Pigs. I started watching a walkthrough of it, but it didn't work. I think it wasn't the same scariness as the first game. But that's it for my list of disappointing games.
I was a minor other ones for most disappointing games. Two, I'll call the names, but don't really talk too much about them. One of which is Rise of the Triad. It was it's a little bit in an older setting. Well, it's similar to older shooter, but I feel like it should have been executed a little bit better. And the other one is Scribblenauts, the new Scribblenauts, Scribblenauts Unmasked.
Oh yeah, right.
Um, well, I've played Unlimited, and you did as well by now, if not mistaken.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, yeah. And new Scribblenauts is, I don't know, it's similar to the Unlimited one, but they didn't really add anything interesting, I guess.
Yeah, I watched a playthrough of it, and it didn't seem as interesting as the first one. and I didn't actually enjoy the first one that much either. It just isn't really a game for me.
So I assume we should go into the next topic, which is the most surprising games.
Well, I only have one game on that list.
Yes.
Assassin's Creed 4.
Ah, yes, I've played that.
I played all the Assassin's Creed games that came out on PC so far, and my favorite has been Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. After Revelations, they began slowing down a bit, not as good, but I still enjoyed it. Assassin's Creed 3 I did not like. So I was very skeptical of what Assassin's Creed 4 would be. I was thinking, well, they're making an entire game on a small part of Assassin's Creed that I didn't really enjoy that much. It's not gonna be that good, but actually, it seems a really good game.
Yeah, I haven't played the first three Assassin's Creed games, well, all the others. But Assassin's Creed 4 is actually my first Assassin's Creed that I played, and it's very good. I was surprised by it. I didn't really expect much of it, I'll be honest. I didn't really know much about the Assassin's Creed games at all, but it was very enjoyable. It really was, and therefore it's also one of my most enjoyed games of 2013. The major thing I like about it is the ship combat fighting. Really like having your own ship and shooting and be like a pirate.
Yeah, there aren't really any good pirate games out there,
Yeah. Well, there are,
but nothing like this.
yeah, it's different.
Do you have
Oh,
anything else on that list, Retender?
also, even doubting, I will probably make a video on Assassin's Creed 4, saying my opinion. So, anyways, yeah, so my next surprising game is the Stanley Parable. So I saw some screenshots of Stanley Parable at first, and was like, holy shit, this looks very boring, very disappointing. But then I saw people playing it, and I tried out the demo myself. And even if you have the full game, I recommend trying the demo, because
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
I agree.
It's pretty amazing. You should really try it.
It's a really interesting story. It's not something I like. I would play myself, but I think the concept is very interesting.
Yeah, and tends to also send a message to other people and to other game developers as well, which is very interesting. It's a game that gives you a message. I think that's the important thing. It's not really well. It's not really like a game with a lot of combat or insane graphics or anything, but and the narrator is very good as well.
Yeah, but British narrators are just.
British. Oh, that accent. Okay. Is that all your surprising games? Assassin's Creed
Yeah,
4?
only had one.
Yes. The games that you enjoyed the most in 2013.
Well, thanks to you, I've gotten my hands on Arkham Origins.
Ah, yes. I've bought myself a graphics card with my new computer, GTX 770, and I got 2 games added to it.
Three
Assassin's
even.
Creed 4, Batman Arkham Origins, and Splinter Cell. And I gave the key of Batman Arkham Origins to Dracula, because I I'm not really interested in Batman games.
Yeah, I played Arkham Asylum. I played Arkham City first, and then Arkham Asylum. I really enjoyed Arkham City. It's one of my favorite games of all times. Better than Saints Row 3, I would say. Arkham Origins not as good as Arkham City, but still very enjoyable. It's just Arkham City a little bit worse. That's all I can say about it, really.
Yes.
There was, however, a bug which lasted a few days without anyone posting a workaround.
Ah, you told me about that one, yeah. So you couldn't really advance
I
in the
couldn't
game.
finish the game.
Yeah.
It was literally few more. It was the only thing I had left to do in the entire game to complete it. That small thing, and just meaning the ending was just not as good because you lose the sort of mindset for it. You have the whole hour playing to the ending, the whole ending part, and then you reach the ending and you can't continue. You have to do it another time, and it's just not the same.
Sometimes game developers really can mess up.
But what do you have on your list, Street Thunder?
Well, as I said, Assassin's Creed 4. I really have a good time with Assassin's Creed 4. Really a fun game, in my opinion. What I also enjoyed, I didn't really play the game itself. I played the demo. It's Call of Juarez Gunslinger.
Juarez.
Juarez. Sorry, can't really pronounce it. Sorry. A fun little game in a Wild West style. Can't really say much about it because again I don't know the full game. I've played the demo and the demo was pretty enjoyable. So, what I also enjoyed is Rogue Legacy. It's a little bit of platformer, which is weird because normally I hate platformers. 2D platformer, but it's very interesting. It's a little bit like a roguelike game, but well, it's interesting. Recommend you to check it out. That's all.
Yeah, another game on my list. Tomb Raider is the new one.
Ah yes, the new Tomb Raider.
This has gotten a little bit of controversy surrounding it because it's not like the original, which were basically puzzle games, and there's very little puzzling in here. But I still enjoyed it. It's a strange thing about it is it doesn't seem as good if you ask the story because you got the young Lara Croft, which in the cutscenes is really fragile, and in the game world itself is like a Terminator. It's a bit funny, but I just liked it.
Shall we move on to our top games of
No, we can't
2013?
because I still have some on my list.
Ah yes, what else you have enjoyed?
Earlier this year, I bought the Metro bundle, which had Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light. I didn't really know much about these games before I bought them, but I really enjoyed it. It's what would happen after a nuclear apocalypse. So, well, sort of. It's still science fiction, but
I did hear that the voice acting is pretty bad.
yeah, the
Yeah.
voice acting is horrible, but the story itself is really good. It's based on a book which is called Metro 2033, I believe. Both games are
Nice.
on the same book.
Alright. Nice.
It's a really interesting story because you see how people would live after such an event. Really in troubles, just trying to get by. Just you should at least play it if you are into shooters. It also has some stealth elements, but you don't have to do stealth. But it sort of depends on how you play, on which ending you're gonna get. I'm not gonna explain anymore because I don't want to spoil anything for those who haven't played it yet.
Yeah.
And last thing on my list is not really a separate game, it's more an expansion. Is Star Wars The Old Republic Rise of the Hutt Cartel. I really enjoy Star Wars The Old Republic. It's MMO but with a real good story. Just all classes are very interesting. Well, not all of them. Some stories aren't that good as the others. But it sort of depends on who you are, on what you'd like. But there's something in this game for everyone, and Rise of the Hutt Cartel was, to me, a very interesting addition to the story that it already had. But let's move on to top games.
Top games of 2013. Yes. Alright. My first game is Path of Exile. It's very similar to Dota. That's basically it. What I can tell about it. It's multiplayer. There's a little bit of multiplayer to it. It's just a nice game.
You
And
mean
skill tree.
You mean similar
Skill
to
tree.
Diablo?
What?
You mean similar to Diablo?
Yeah, it's very similar to Diablo. Yes.
You said Dota.
Did I say Dota?
Yep.
Apologies. Yeah, no, it's similar to Diablo. Yes, sorry. It's multiplayer and it has a very nice skill tree, lot of customization. It's a game that's it's just good. It reminds me a lot of the back in the days of Diablo games.
Well, don't have any top games. I have games I enjoyed, but not any I would say from this you should buy. It's the best game ever. No, I don't have any of those this year. But
But I still have two more games on my list, and the second one is Dust and Elysian Deal. It's it's my pretty much my favorite game of the year, I think. Well, close to it's definitely in the top games. It's very good. It's just so good executed. Music, combat feels very smooth. It's again a platformer, which is weird because normally I don't really um, like platformers, but it's just so good and it looks beautiful. Music is excellent. Can't say anything bad about the game really.
yeah, I've seen the videos of it and it seems interesting, but it's not a game I would enjoy personally.
It's a game that is made by one guy, except for the music.
Yeah,
It's
it's
pretty
really
good.
amazing.
Yeah. And if you look at the option screens, you would think it's a 2D game and there won't be a lot of options, but you're wrong about that. There are really a lot of options. But anyways, move over to the next game. Probably, maybe in my top games I would put GTA 5, but I haven't played it and I don't know anything about it, so I'm going to put that between quotes or something. So
I wouldn't play
GTA 5 looks very interesting. I hope it's really is able to be modded, because if it doesn't, it's not really worth picking it up, I think. Because a big part about GTA is always the mods.
personally, me GTA, I don't care about it at all. The only GTA-like game I enjoy is Saints Row 3, it's just because it's crazy. And that's all.
But
So I'm
GTA
not gonna
5,
comment
I
about
hope I
it.
can play it one day, because it looks very good. I hope it comes out on PC, because I never buy consoles.
Yeah.
Anyways, next topic, best soundtrack.
Yeah, mine is not really a soundtrack, it's more music, it's Saints Row 4. It maybe sounds a bit strange, because I put Saints Row 4 in one of my disappointing games, but
Yeah, but
I just like the music.
yeah, Saints Row 4 has some fairly nice soundtracks. And the soundtrack for the dubstep gun is actually one of the few dubstep songs I kinda like. I'll be honest. Normally I hate dubstep songs, but that dubstep song is pretty, it's pretty good. And just in general, the music these used in some of the missions are really, it's silly, but it's pretty good, yes.
What's your
But
favorite?
anyways, my favorite ones would probably one Electronic Super Joy. That is, the music in Electronic Super Joy is just amazing. It's very electronic-like, electronic techno bit. Yeah. It's from an electronic techno artist. I have heard some music of before, and he's pretty good at what he does. So, and the next one would be Assassin's Creed 4. Again, yes.
Ah,
Sorry.
yes.
I think they took a lot of inspiration from Pirates of the Caribbean, and I don't mind. Here's some parts of the soundtrack are very similar to songs on the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack, but I really don't mind because it's very good and very well executed. Um, Especially fighting ship versus ship. It's really, and you hear this intense, very epic music going on. You really feel like, damn, this is good. It really adds a lot to the game, I think.
Yeah, music in games is a very important thing because it can give you the mindset, the feeling you get from it, can change it completely.
Yeah, it sets the mood, and sometimes it can add a very epic touch, like it does in Assassin's Creed 4. And not enough games do that.
I could say more about music in games, but that's not what this video is going to be about. Because we'll be here for another half an hour and it's already 25 minutes in, so let's move on
Anyways,
to
what are you
what
most
game.
excited for in the next 1 or 2 years?
The thing I'm most excited about is The Witcher 3.
Ah, yes.
I haven't played the first Witcher, but the second Witcher was absolutely amazing.
I heard it
I
was pretty
loved
good,
it.
and the graphics as well. It's one of the best looking games there is. So
It is, and it's very well optimized compared to some other games. I'm not going to say any more about that, but and the story is really good. There isn't sort of a black and white area in the game. It's more gray. Everything is gray. You have to decide what is the best option at that time. It shows sort of the friction between different groups of population like we have in our current society, like between Mexicans and blacks and Americans and Europeans or whatever. And just very well executed.
I'm probably excited for a little bit for the Diablo 3 expansion, but the problem with that is, in my opinion, it's they added things in that expansion that should have been there in the first place. Like they're removing the real money auction house. It shouldn't have been there in the first place, in my opinion. And they do a lot of other neat stuff. I forgot most of the details, but they're just adding and changing a lot of stuff that should have been there in the first place. So Diablo 3, a little bit excited, but not that much. I'm kinda excited for the new MMO that was coming out, Wildstar. I know you're not,
No, I'm not. Not at all.
but it's a little bit of more cartoony style, and it's a new MMO that it's going to change the genre a little bit, because it does things not really like the standard way anymore. And I like that. I like that games tend to innovate.
Yeah.
And Wildstar does that a little bit.
Most
And the fact that
people,
it's cartoony style, I like cartoony style.
when people talk about new MMOs, they mostly compare it to World of Warcraft, but they
Yeah, they
don't have to, because most MMOs that are coming out change just little things about the MMO genre, and that's good. Which adds the Star Wars Old Republic, which added story to the genre. And then you have what do you have, DC Universe, which introduces a new combat system and so on and so on. But moving on, next game I'm excited for, Hearthstone. I'm playing it right now. If you have seen it on my channel, it's a sort of card game made by Blizzard Entertainment, based on the Warcraft universe. It's just really interesting, and I'm curious as to what they're going to do with it.
I'll be honest, I haven't played it at all, and I'm not really excited for it at all. I don't want to play it, because I hate card games.
Yeah,
I
and
watched some gameplay of it, and after 5 minutes I was like, nope.
I quite like card games. I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon when I was younger. 3 didn't like it. Do you have any other games you're excited for?
I'm excited for World of Warcraft Warlords of Draenor. I still love World of Warcraft, even haven't played it for like, I don't know, a year. I still love the game. And I'm really excited for the expansion. I might get it, but I'm not certain yet, because it will mean that I have to restart from scratch, basically. Because I know that most of my friends left, and I don't know, my server is pretty much empty, and I'd have to restart from scratch, and I'm not sure if I'm into that, putting that much effort into that game.
Yeah, the problem for me is if I would start again with Warlords of Draenor, it's just everything that was changed that I didn't like is still there. I'm not going to explain more about it to avoid hate in the comments.
Yeah, but they add a lot of new stuff, and they go back to the Warcraft days, which is very interesting, because we played Warcraft 3, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
to go back to that era is like, oh damn, nerdgasm.
Anyway, next game I'm excited for, Star Wars The Old Republic Galactic Starfighter expansion.
Oh god, dogfighting in space.
Yeah, it's not really that amazing, great, grand game or so, but it just seems enjoyable so to have a PvP mode with starships.
Yeah, I was wanting that from the start, really, to be honest. But
Yeah, a
they
lot of
put
people
it.
would. But I'm curious what they're going to do with it. And since it's free to play, it's much easier to pick up than World of Warcraft.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I wish World of Warcraft was free to play to a certain level. Right now, it is until level 20, but since there are like 90 levels right now, level 20 is basically nothing. So
And last game on my list of excitement. Binding of Isaac Rebirth. I played the first Binding of Isaac. I have made a video about it. I
I
just
made
think
two.
I just think it's one of the better rogue games in the genre.
Yeah, it's very good. I wish we should have seen some gameplay of it already by now. I haven't seen any gameplay whatsoever.
Yeah, me neither, but this seems like just a remake of the original, so I
If
say
it's
that's
just a remake, I'm not sure if I will bother, but it depends on what they added and how good it actually is.
but since we don't have any much information about it, we'll see what it's going to. That's all my list.
I still have two more. I still have the Tales of the Borderlands. It's the Telltale. It's Telltale is going to is making a lot of games that are story driven, like The Wolf Among Us and The Walking Dead and such. And now they are going to make a series on the Borderlands, which I think is going to be very interesting. Because a lot of I've heard some people saying that I really don't want this game. I don't care about. But personally, I think the characters in Borderlands are very well developed. I think they're very well made, and you can definitely make a good story around them. So, Tales of the Borderlands, I'm kind of excited for because I think the story will be amazing.
And I can't care about Borderlands at all. So
Yeah,
I have played it
bought
with.
yeah, you bought the game, but you barely played it anymore.
Yeah, I played it with you for the entirety of the story and just left it and haven't played it since.
And I'm also a little bit excited for Starbound, but right now as it is, I don't want to play it because I know it's unstable, and I've seen gameplay footage of it, and I'm like, this does look interesting for the moment. But I know it's made by the developers of Terraria, and Terraria is a particularly good game. I put so much hours into it, so I think
Yeah,
Starbound has a lot of potential.
yeah, I don't really enjoy the 2D game genres. I have heard people talk about Starbound and they usually just compare it with Terraria and says it's just basically a new Terraria. So if you enjoy Terraria, go ahead. I assume.
What other games that came out this year you still want to play?
Well, I still want to play StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm. We have gotten the original and we want to play the expansion. The problem really is we're trying to save a bit of money, so we sort of wait until it gets cheaper, but it's not really going to happen.
Yeah, this can take a while, yeah. And the thing is, there is just content that was added. It doesn't really add so much new to the game. Like, it doesn't improve the game that much.
Another thing I really want to play, because I said it before in my list, is my most surprising game of this year, Assassin's Creed 4. I really like the previous one. I want to play
I
this one.
recommend it too. Yeah, you should get it at some point.
I'm
When it's
just
cheap.
waiting till it comes in cheaper sale.
Yeah, because it's like 50 euros right now. It's
But it's
pretty
because it isn't made by Activision, it shouldn't be that long.
right. I want to play GTA 5 as soon as it comes to PC. I expect the graphics to be very good, cause the graphics looked very good, but they were really bottlenecked by the fact that they were on the previous consoles. So I got the feeling that the game will look good, and I hope it will be moddable. As I said, if it's moddable, it's definitely worth it. So I also want to play Metro Last Light, as you said. I kind of want to play that one, especially with my new computer. I have a lot of hopes that I will be pushing the graphics up to almost max, or if not max. So that would be enjoyable to see very high graphics. And do you have one more?
I have one more, it's Democracy 3. It may sound strange because it's nothing compared to the other games I have on my list of things I played.
I think gameplay of it. I have no idea why you want to play that. But
I don't know why, it just seems enjoyable to waste my time and
yeah.
just trying different things with politics.
Alright, it's your opinion, mate. This I also want to play Divinity Dragon Commander.
Ah, yes.
I've seen some gameplay of it, and I know the gameplay itself isn't that great, I'm not mistaken. But the story is very good,
I've seen
and
some
it's
of
made
it.
by a Belgian developer.
I didn't
I-
know that.
yeah, they actually have a. Their company actually is in Ghent.
That's about, I don't know, 50 minutes drive? Half an
Half
hour?
hour drive. You could go talk to them. Yeah, sure.
Ask for free copies.
Why
No.
not?
I have seen a small amount of it, but a tiny bit, I mean, and
Yeah,
I
I
just
haven't
don't
seen
care
much of
about
it
it.
either, but I know the story is very good, so I will kind of want to play it. So to end this little chat, should we talk about our hope for 2014?
Well, we're going to probably split this into two parts because it's already 35 minutes, so we'll see you soon, I guess. We're just going to continue and just split here. See you later.